Hey everybody, welcome back to Kindred Spirits on the Roof. Last time we closed out the Megumi extra scenes, and now we're going to take care of the Sachi extra scenes. From under the eaves of the roof, I watch the rain steadily fall from the sky. As a spirit without a body, I don't need to be concerned with the cold or the wet, but for whatever reason I still prefer to stay where it's dry. It's strange how that feeling remains even in a form like this. I had thought my sense of time had been dulled. There were times when years had passed before I realized it, and I had felt no change. But lately, I've been enjoying every day, and the passing of time has been very clear. I can say today is Wednesday because Yurirei-san hurried off to find sales with the grocer. Usually I'd have to peek into a classroom to look at the blackboard to tell. I'm back, Sachi-san. I went out on patrol. Megumi slid through the door next to me. Her voice was a little unlike her usual self, perhaps in reflection of the gloomy rain. Thank you. Let's report then. She said she'd been on a patrol, but we're not monitoring the public order in the school. There wouldn't be anything we could do anyway. Our patrols are yuri patrols, just to watch over the young buds of love that lie hidden within the school. That's how things were up until a little while ago, at least. We could only watch over them. However, it's been different lately, since meeting Yurirei-san. I'll start. The track and field couple is as volatile as ever. I see. That's a little frustrating. It's because of their love that they want to rely on and be spoiled by each other. Sometimes their feelings just don't line up. They spend so much time fighting and making up constantly. We don't fight at all. Yes, that's true. I've spent a long time with you after all, Megumi. I flashed a smile toward her, and Megumi's shoulders dropped in relief. I'll go next then. Sachi-san, I found a new girl. Oh my. Megumi's words brought on a bit of anxiety and a bit of excitement in equal measure. Until recently, that would have just meant that we had one more person to watch over. But discovering someone's love has a very different meaning now that we have a way to make these lily buds bloom beautifully. That's amazing, Megumi. You've done well. Tell me about her. Of course, Sachi-san. Megumi described to me a girl who had realized her love on this very roof. She was like, holy friggin' crap, who knew there was a girl like that here? I couldn't help laughing at the ridiculous way Megumi lowered her voice and imitated the girl. She said she was going to see the girl she'd fallen for, so I followed her. But she never actually approached her, only watched, so I couldn't quite figure out who it was. Who could this be? At this point, Yoka, maybe? But I finally did it, so, it was... Do you know the person who waits in front of the main gate in the morning to round up the latecomers? I think her name is Ario Aki-san. I checked a few times, I'm pretty sure about it. Yup. There we go. I knew right away who she meant. She's someone who exudes a keen, stern air like a disciplinary committee member should. It's clear even when looking at her from up on the roof. I know who you mean. She's very striking and quite pretty. Megumi looked shocked for a moment, then smoothed her hair down and straightened her clothes. Finally, I love these two. Finally, she looked up at me and nervously sidled over? Is that a word? Or is that a typo and it's supposed to be slided over? Though that doesn't make much sense either, does it? Do you prefer more striking people, Sachi-san? My. She got quite hung up on that one word. Of course I prefer cute girls, like you, Megumi. You do? I'm sorry, did I worry you? Sachi's so sweet. Sachi is so sweet. I can't get over it. Like that one line she has on their night together. Something about I can't remember it, but it was a line, and I think I said something like I would have swooned if if someone said that to me. It's just, Sachi's so sweet. I felt bad, but it made me a little happy. Perhaps noticing my feelings, Megumi suddenly turned her head to the side. I'll forgive you if you spend the night with me until morning. Just spend it with you? Megumi's cheeks turned bright red. Her eyes watered and swam as if she wasn't sure how to respond. Even if she knew they were meaningless, pointless words, I could imagine the visions dancing in her head. And this is nice too, because I feel like we don't get to see a lot of Megumi-Sachi interaction that isn't beyond, that isn't either mediated by Yuna, or it's nothing except, hey, it's like the Yuri patrol thing, what's our mission, how have we done, what's going on, we never see them have like a genuine moment together, except for their night together before they leave. And so this whole idea of them like kind of flirting with each other right now is kind of sweet to see, because we don't really see them interact like this in the main story at all. I mean, the only other time we see them alone together is when they we kind of have that moment that happens later this month. But again, that was more just like Sachi describing what they had done together that night. It wasn't very present like this is. Our eyes met, and we both smiled. We've probably flirted like this dozens, hundreds of times by now. We've spent a long, long time playing jealousy with each other, playing confessions, playing betrothal. Countless similar exchanges during our unchanging relationship in this unchanging scenery. It was a stagnant relationship, but one that was strangely comforting, not boring. But things will be different from now on, I thought as I looked out at the rain with Megumi. We'll have to speak with Yuna-san before long. We're working on the plan for Kiri-chan right now, so it may be best to wait until things are calmer. And when I think about the future, I'm not really sure what to expect. I feel happy, but also a little anxious. Maybe it's because so little has changed for so long. It's strange to feel this way when everything we've been waiting for is happening. What dreadful rain! It doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. I looked up at the same sky as Megumi. The dark rain clouds suspended there, warped the scenery with countless raindrops. It was a sight we'd seen many times before, but there's no rain that never ends. You're right! Megumi laughed, interpreting my mutterings in a positive way. I felt a little relieved at her voice. Megumi has seemed dejected lately. I know the reason why, but I was also feeling confused. I couldn't be entirely comfortable with all the changes that have been occurring since we met Yuna-san. I felt a sense of urgency pushing up from my chest, as if the feelings I forced down in myself were threatening to burst out. Sunlight isn't always a good thing either. So, was Megumi talking about Yoka? And she was referring to Aki as the girl who she was positive Yoko was in love with, right? I think that's what that conversation was before she started flirting with Sachi. Because I find it really hard to believe that Aki would be up on, because we know Yoko was kind of like stalking Aki and not approaching her. But I don't know, I'm pretty sure it was Yoko though. Oh, I was on a stroll through the inner building during lunch when I saw Yuri-san out of the corner of my eyes. She was walking through the stacks of the mostly empty library, headed toward what looked to be an even more lonely bookshelf. I figured it would be fine to borrow her for a bit. "Hello, Yuri-san. Looking for a book?" I said, standing next to her, and Yuri-san answered as she reached out to the shelf. "Oh, Sachi-san. Yeah, I'm just looking for a cookbook." Yuri-san's fingers brushed the spines of the recipe books as she inspected them. "Is there much demand for these books? They all look very tidy, like they haven't been read much." "I've put in some requests, so I come in every so often to check if they have any new ones. Cookbooks are pretty expensive after all. It's nice to be able to borrow them from the library." "I see. I'll run through my allowance pretty quickly if I actually start buying them." "Allowance? Seems like everyone has it tough no matter the times. That takes me back. Oh, Yuri-san's giving me a bit of a troubled look. Have I said something odd?" I see. Don't worry about it. I've been a ghost for quite a long while now." "Right. What a sweet girl she is to be so considerate when my state of affairs have become so natural to me. There's such a variety of books here, though, of all different colors, sizes, bindings. Oh yes, I was curious about these." I moved over to a strange shelf that displayed its books by their front covers. "These change every few months, don't they? Are they called magazines?" Yeah. Want to see one of them?" Yuri-san paused her search and pulled open one of the magazines. "This is a travel magazine. It has info on different stores and attractions in various towns. This one's a little old. It's issued monthly, but this one's from 3 months ago." "I see. They're published every single month, and already old after 3? Does that mean there are new things to write about every month? It sounds like a lot of work both to write and to read them. See, this is the section about this town. Here's our school, and this is what you can see from the roof." Yuri-san opened the page with the map and pointed out various locations, explaining them to me. "I see. It's quite easy to understand this way. This is that yellowish building you can see from the front of the roof, and this article is about a good place to eat in that building." "My, that does look good. Paella?" It's like takikomi gohan with fish or meat cooked in a pan. It's a Spanish dish." "I see. I can't imagine what it might taste like, but it certainly sounds interesting." "So they make this in that building I always see when I look out. That's kind of exciting." When I was satisfied with my inspection of the magazines, Yuri-san returned to her search. She took out the books and flipped through them, read some parts carefully, and compared several volumes to each other. She finally ended up with a book on Japanese food. It seemed to have comparatively commonplace dishes in it. "Is that what you want? You're a good cook, right, Yuri-san? I was expecting you'd pick one with more difficult recipes in it." "I don't know every recipe in it, of course, and each book has different ways of seasoning or preparing a dish. It's good reference just comparing them sometimes. This book is a little old, see? It might have neglected ingredients, methods, tricks that could still work now. I thought it might be interesting." She's very enthusiastic, I see. "There might be things you can't really cook anymore in here, too. Come to think of it, I don't see many girls eating mimi or mukago gohan anymore, or things like grasshopper sukudani." "Grasshopper? Yeah, you probably don't see too many people eating those lately. And mimi, what's that?" Now that I think about it, Megumi didn't know either. I shouldn't be surprised Yuri-san hasn't heard of it. It's something like sutan. Do you know what sutan is?" "Yeah. Maybe I'll look it up sometime." Yuri-san ended up checking out several cookbooks. She had deliberated with herself over which one to take in her excitement, and in the end she even consulted with me a little. My, this is fun, isn't it? I'm already pretty light on my feet, being a ghost, but I feel like I'm really floating now. It's been a truly long time since I've talked with someone over a book, after all. It's fun to spend time with someone in the library, isn't it? Yeah. The location being what it is, everyone stays terribly quiet. Yuri-san had been whispering so softly that only I could hear, but I very much appreciated being able to chat with her. If you like, we could choose books together again sometime, and look at the PCs, too. I forgot the PCs. Sure. I brought my hand up to Yuri-san's, where it held her cookbooks, and made my own selfish incorporeal pinky promise with her. Oh, that means it's legit. You cannot go back on a pinky promise. That stuff is serious business. Binding legal contract. My, if it isn't. One day when summer vacation was drawing to a close, I happened to be wandering about a deserted school building when I came across Miki-chan alone in a third-year classroom. Miki-chan had been coming to school over summer vacation to take care of various things, in addition to attending summer courses. I'd seen her earlier watering the flower beds, and I decided to watch over her for a while, a bit worried that she might be worn out. Miki-chan set her hand lightly on her desk and cast a certain look around the classroom. Ah, it's getting to be that time, isn't it? I soon understood. It was a gaze very familiar to me. Her eyes had the faraway look of a senior student, gazing back on days she'd soon have to part from. How did you find the 3 years you spent at the school, Miki-chan? I asked her, knowing full well that she couldn't hear me. I imagined she was asking the same question to herself anyway. You're the hardest worker I know, Miki-chan. Yes, I'm certain of that. I first became aware of Miki-chan in June of the year she started here. I found myself growing fond of the methodical way she did her work, at the time simply maintaining the flower beds as part of the beautification committee. Among all the people who'd begin to cut corners as they grew accustomed to the work, Miki-chan was always very thorough with her care. It was the same today when she was watering, so gentle, yet a nice, brisk pace. I'm sure the flowers will miss your presence. Then, as I observed her, I'm sure I noticed the feeling she kept hidden deep inside, and only grew more interested in her. Because she was the same as me. Miki-chan, it was very comforting to watch over you, but at times it could be frustrating. Before I knew it, people were calling you saint, and as it became so commonplace to request things of you, you merely shouldered the work without a word of protest. You do tend to look a little troubled when someone asks you to do something you shouldn't need to do, but your hesitation always fades rather quickly in the end, and your expression fades to resignation. Determination to bear the task and the burden of your feelings. It pained me to watch you, thinking you must really want to turn them down. I worried that your inability to say so might crush you. But I'm comforted lately. I thought of Maki-chan, who so enthusiastically assisted Miki-chan now. Since Maki-chan joined her, Miki-chan's expression has brightened considerably. I worried a little before summer, but now that the matter has passed, she seems to be enjoying herself even more. There's even a quiet smile at Miki-chan's lips now as she looks out across her classroom. It looks as though your 3 years won't end with merely bearing the work given to you by others. Frankly, until the spring, I had thought she would wind up graduating with that resigned expression sitting untouched on her face. It makes me very glad to see her smiling so contently in her classroom like this. What is this music? Oh? Oh, was that her ringtone? That was weird because I was still hearing I thought like maybe that was my computer or something, because I'm still here, because I still heard the background music, and there was like that weird tone. The fact that she's not talking on it must mean it's a text message. And I'm sure it's from Maki-chan. Look at you, Sachi, all up on the new tech. You would be, but I'm just impressed. Miki-chan's expression alone told me the identity of the sender as she gazed down at the screen. Miki-chan looked truly happy as she tapped away at her cell phone, typing a reply. You know, I'm still really sad that we never get to see, like, at least one of the dates that Miki and Seina go on during summer break. It makes me sad. Texts must be nice. They allow someone to convey their feelings instantaneously. Then when one's been sent, an answer might arrive right away, which one can then reply to. All these text messages are saved on that small cell phone and can be read over again at any time. If we had cell phones in my time and I'd been able to text, I wonder if I would have been able to convey my true feelings. You know, Sachi, it's not as great as it sounds. I mean, sure, the technology's great, but it's certainly no way to convey your true feelings. And there's always that problem that happens when you send a text message and you don't get a response right away and you really want a response right away, and then you're left hanging. Trust me, there's a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication that goes on with text messaging, to the point where I personally think it should only be used for like the bare minimum of things, and for that it's convenient. I shook my head, remembering the small pile of letters I'd written and torn up. The result would have been the same no matter what I was writing on. It looks like she's received another response to the text she sent. And just like that, she left the classroom excitedly, a joyful spring in her step. Picking out the cries of a late summer cicada from the sounds outside, I let out a little sigh. Once summer ends, the school festival will be just around the corner. Miki-chan was quite busy last year and the year before that, but perhaps she'll manage this year. Oh, she'll manage. She'll manage. Miki-chan may have more than a few harsh memories from these last 3 years, but if it ends well, I do hope Miki-chan is able to enjoy her September. And so when I spotted her figure out in the courtyard beyond the window, I wished her well. Then a moment later I recalled that I mustn't merely pray for the happiness of others. Before that, I must settle things for myself. A wonderful first time we won't regret. My long-cherished wish may soon come true. Megumi has already observed one couple come together. That day is steadily growing closer, but as it does, I feel a strange anxiety. It feels as though some impatience is bubbling up in my heart. We may obtain the knowledge we've sought, but will I have the courage to accept it? There's something I have yet to tell Megumi, and imagining how she might react is enough to frighten me. But I cannot simply not tell her, can I? I must gradually build up the courage. I do not know what will happen, but I must continue on. It's for that sake that we've worked so hard since spring, since meeting Yuri-san. Little by little, I must gain the courage to do this. I want to gain it from this profile of Miki-chan. Yeah, I guess Sachi would have stuff in common with Miki in the sense of just hiding her true feelings and hiding her true self. And that means Sachi also shares that layer with Yuna. Which kind of brings that conversation Sachi and Yuna have after Yuna confronts Miki in a whole new light. It like brings it to a new light. And you kind of can see why Sachi is so empathetic to Yuna. And because I think she talks about Yuna having another self buried deep in, you know, the kind of facade she's putting up. This sort of snarky, loner, doesn't really care about others type sort of persona. And I guess Sachi would really identify with that, and I identify with Miki too. From the way she smiles after she obtained the power to change herself. Yeah, and I guess, and it makes sense that Sachi would kind of feel inspired now that she knows that Miki's made the steps to change. Oh, school festival. Oh, chips. Great, I'm hungry, like always when I play this game. Really, by now I should know better. Eat before I play this game, because I'm always going to be hungry with the talk of food. I love the atmosphere right before the school festival, Megumi said, looking out over the campus from the roof. Yes, it's lively this year too. It was lunch, yet everyone was devoted completely to their preparations. I concurred with Megumi as I took in the sense of enthusiasm exuding from all over the school, even up here on the roof. It's truly a good season, no matter how many times it comes. I imagine the school is filled with more energy now than it is at any other time of the year. And they seem to be making a lot of progress around the Kumo Miyagura. The second floor looked good too. I saw a pretty big haunted house being put together. We were exchanging information like this so that we could enjoy the event, of course. We like to watch the productions in the auditorium and spend time in the haunted houses. It's quite fun to stick close to the girls who are scaring people. I guess 2 classes are doing the haunted house together. My, that sounds fun. With the space and hands 2 classes would afford them, I imagine they could make a fairly respectable attraction. We'll have to check it out. There were also a few waffle stands being put together, like 3 of them. Waffles? Are those lattice patterned sweets, right? I think so. I've never had one either, though. I saw some flyers for them as well. Are they popular nowadays? Seems like it. They're in fashion again. They're easy to make after you buy the equipment, and it's nice and easy to sell them. I heard some girls saying that anyway. I think there are more important things to worry about than making money, though. You only get 3 school festivals, right? Are they really okay with that? Right as I opened my mouth to respond to Megumi's discontent, the door to the roof opened and Yuri-san stumbled over. Oh no, she's stumbling? Megumi and I both closed our mouths when we saw her dejected expression. Yuri-san's been out of sorts since this morning, as if lost in thought or distracted. Oh crap, what day is it? Oh, right. Oh, this is school festival time, so there's only 2 days. So that makes sense that it would just be, yeah. Sachi knows. Of course Sachi knows. No surprise there. I wonder if she even realizes that it's because of this date contest business with Hina-chan. And why is she so distraught by it? I imagine it would clear up her confusion somewhat if she became aware of it, but I doubt she'd appreciate my informing her of it. Yuri-san seems more the type to want to realize something herself, think on it herself, and act on it herself as well. Because I think this, I find myself unable to say anything to her now. And it's several times more frustrating than anything I've ever felt about the girls we've watched over before. Oh, Yuna, are those potato chips? Megumi's cheerful greeting was her way of being considerate too, I imagine. Oh yeah, they are. Ichiki-san just gave them to me. She said she bought them because they're new, but then remembered she was on a diet afterward. Oh, how wonderful! I've always been curious of these potato chips. I bet you Sachi would really like potato chips, because isn't her favorite dish like potato based or something, like fried potatoes? I imagine Sachi would like potato chips. Also, they're new, so of course Sachi's curious too. I gazed down at the bag, half out of consideration and half out of curiosity. I've heard that they're thin fried slices of potatoes, but I wonder what they taste like. There's always a crunchy sound when the girls on the roof eat them, but I can't imagine the texture, let alone the taste of them. Want to try them? Yes. With a wry smile, Yuna-san quickly tore open the bag. Here, but I just ate lunch, so I can't say how much I'll have. Wow, can we? It's been so long since I've had chips. They'll be my first. Hurry up, Yuna! Yuna-san took her usual place on the bench at Megumi's urging, the two of us sitting beside her. She picked out a chip from the bag. They're like hard pieces of paper. They certainly don't seem like food to me, but they smell good. I heard that familiar crunch when Yuna-san bit into it, and felt that thin slice breaking easily against her teeth. The first thing I felt was spice stinging my tongue. I wasn't expecting that. But the taste of potato quickly followed along as they crunched delightfully between her teeth. I'd been expecting something like potato tempura, but I found I quite enjoyed these, despite their betrayal of my expectations. What do you think, Sachi-san? They're flavored quite strongly, aren't they? I hadn't anticipated they'd be so spicy, but they're good. What an interesting taste. Yeah, these are kinda hot. I'm fully satisfied after 2 or 3 of them. It even hurts my tongue and the inside of my mouth a little. But girls these days eat whole bags of these, don't they? Yeah, someone should explain to you. Yuna, first of all, Yuna, you probably should have warned Sachi and Megumi that they were spicy, because some people don't like spicy food. Second of all, potato chips can be seasoned anyway. Yuna, go inform Sachi of this. And what I wanted to say too is that, but I've seen some people, when it comes to spicy chips, they will just devour a whole bag, and I don't know how you do it. I think sometimes just continuing to eat the spicy chips just stops the burn for a little bit, so like you can't stop eating them. Or you're just a masochist and you like the pain, or you have a higher tolerance for spicy things. I love spicy food, but I don't have a high tolerance for it. So I unfortunately can't eat as much of it as much as I'd like to eat a lot of it. I'd be pretty full if I finished the bag. Yuna, just a little more, a little more. What? It was a nice new experience, but I have to say I prefer steamed potatoes, or imo namasu, after all. So I thought, though I felt a bit bad about it since we'd made Yuna-san eat the chips. Then Yuna-san said, as if reading my mind, Come to think of it, about the imo namasu you mentioned before, Sachi-san, did yours have the sugar or the vinegar added first? Huh? Well, I'm not sure. I'd never made it myself. Does the order matter? I wondered. Apparently you get very different result depending on which you put in first. I see. I suppose just as she promised before, Yuna-san's looking up how to make imo namasu. I've been positively craving it since we talked about it on the August Oban. Is she going to make us some, I wonder? I can't imagine the recipe is very well known. It must be difficult to find information on it. She really is thoughtful, even though she should be quite distracted by what's happening with Hina-chan now. I hope Yuna-san notices her own feelings soon. Then, I couldn't help praying in my heart. Not that it would be easy for her, but that they would have a truly good romance. I'm sure that's what Yuna-san wishes herself. Under the memorial tree. On most days this place puts me at ease, but today I'm feeling anything but calm. Our first time. Just thinking the words seemed to send all the blood in my body rushing. It's not as if I still have a functioning heart, so it's mysterious how this sort of sensation remains within me. Calm down. I just have to calm down. It's not as if this is a simple matter. First, Yuri-san has to give her reply to Hina-chan, and the two have to enter a relationship. Then they have to agree to allow us to possess them. I shouldn't even be thinking about it until that happens. Yes, our goal appears to be just before us, but there are several barriers to overcome still. Perhaps it's a problem that some part of me is grateful for those barriers right now. But now we've seen several girls have their own first times, but can we just follow their example? This will be the first time Megumi and I have touched, so I'm sure there'll be differences from what we've observed. Doubtless Megumi is nervous as well. I have to be strong. I was the one who pushed her down the other day, so it's likely I'll have to take the lead, I think. But there are plenty of things I don't understand yet. I just can't help feeling nervous about it. I still want to go through with it, of course. We've dreamed of our first time for so long now. We have to make it a success, and that's all the more reason we can't fail. Oh, don't be sad, Sachi. I don't like worried Sachi. I can't abandon the way I've been acting in front of Megumi now either. It was the same when I opened up to her and Yuri-san. They both accepted how I am. I'm happy for that, but in the end, I'm still wavering. I'm sure that's because they only heard my true nature in words. The cowardly me. I lean against the memorial tree now too, wavering. I'm keeping myself still, but the unease is so great, I feel as though I'm about to start pacing. I feel so pathetic. Sachi-san! Megumi approached me with an energetic shout, Yuri-san in tow. My, what is it, Megumi? By the time I'd caught Megumi in my arms, I'd already reverted to the usual manner of speaking. Even I was surprised at how naturally it had happened. See, that's the thing with pretending to be someone you're not. When you think about it, like, as a human being, how can you truly be someone you're not? Like, I can understand faking a personality, but at some point that becomes you to some degree. Like, it might not fully feel right or fully mesh, but at some point some of those characteristics are going to start to rub off. Like, human beings, we're very malleable, you know, and if you believe anything about the power of a person's environment or nurturing and cultural and social context, then the whole idea of, like, hiding your true self, and I'm putting that in quotes, is all very difficult to separate from, or hard to conceive, I guess, is a better way of putting it. I mean, there is some truth to that saying, fake it till you make it. And if you pretend to be someone enough, you're gonna start seeing that personality really seep into your natural state of being through habit. And you have to wonder at that point, well, that's you, right? You know, like that, like, how can you not be yourself? It's very tricky. I just got very philosophical on y'all, and I didn't mean to, but it's something I think about a lot. So Sachi just sparked it in my head there. See, Sachi agrees. It must have just soaked into me. Exactly, Sachi. Thank you for putting the cap on my little lecture there. I smiled a bit bitterly on the inside, and to think I'd been so worked up a moment before. Come on, Sachi-san, over here. Come sit down. Yes, what is it? We took our seats on the bench to the memorial tree. Megumi pulled me along behind her. Yuri-san in the middle and Megumi and I on either side. At some point this arrangement had become completely natural to us. Yuna, hurry! Yeah. At Megumi's urging, Yuna-san pulled open the pouch in her lap. A lunchbox appeared from within. Hurry and open it! What on earth has gotten into Megumi? She's in an awful hurry. Here. Ta-da! My, onigiri! Inside the lunchbox were 2 onigiri shaped into perfect triangles and looking delicious. But judging from Megumi's excitement, there must be something more to them. I wonder what it is. Do they have some interesting filling? I've heard they even put things like butter and cheese inside them now. Cream cheese in an onigiri is delicious. Speaking of that, these are my handmade onigiri. Oh my. From what they told me, Megumi had possessed Yuna-san to make these onigiri for me. I'm happier for that than my unusual filling. Oh wait, I butchered that entire sentence, excuse me. I'm happier for that than any unusual filling. I wanted you to taste my cooking, Sachi-san. I thought about what sort of thing to make, but somehow, I just thought onigiri might be best. Megumi looked up at me, blushing, the very portrait of embarrassment and anxiety. What should I do? What should I do? I'm too thankful, and Megumi is too adorable. Thank you, Megumi. And you, Yuna-san. Truly, thank you. I'm so happy. Megumi is so cute. Her face lit up in that smile. And though Yuna-san has her same calm expression as always, she looks somehow satisfied. I'd like to try them. Is that all right? Yes, of course. Come on, Yuna, hurry up. Yeah. So that must actually be a word, and I'm a little embarrassed that I don't know what it is. Sidled up? I don't know. I know y'all who listen are really smart, so someone inform me. What is that word? How do you pronounce it? I sidled up close to Yuna-san as she reached for the onigiri. She must have just shaped them. They were warm, and I could smell the tasty scent of the nori. It looks delicious. Dig in! First I felt the crunch of the nori, followed by the gentle flavor of the rice and a faint saltiness. It's delicious. Really? Really? Yeah, it's good. It looked like her anxiety had faded now that Yuna-san, who tasted it with me, was praising her too. Megumi released a relieved sigh. A second bite. This time we reached the filling, soft salmon spilling over my tongue. It is good. This is the perfect onigiri. It was an incredibly happy flavor, with nostalgia, gratitude, and countless small hopes wrapped up in it. Yay! I'm so glad! You know, it's been a while since I've cooked anything. It might just be onigiri, but I was worried they wouldn't come out good. They're fine. I was a little concerned about you when you started, though. You couldn't avoid that one, you know. You just couldn't let Megumi have her moment. But, you know, I'd be concerned if you did, honestly. What's that supposed to mean? They're very nice. I might be a little surprised. What? What do you mean? I might understand what she means, though if I said that, I'm sure Megumi would pout. They really are good. You'd be a great wife, Megumi. Oh my... my face, I'm blushing now. Seriously, Sachi, tone it down. You're smooth. Dude, I wish we got to see more of this Sachi Megumi flirting in the main story. I'd really like it. Oh no, a wife? I'm happy just being with you, Sachi-san. Yes, I'm blessed too, aren't I? Yes. Yuna, did you hear that? So, like, if I'd be a good wife and married Sachi-san, then Sachi-san would be the happy husband. Yeah. Talking to the two of them makes the hesitant, timid me from the past seem like something so strange. I think essentially I haven't changed, but that my efforts to grow haven't been fruitless either. They're both me, in other words. True, and that's the other thing, is like when we tend to, as people, as human beings, we tend to act differently depending on the people we're around and the environment we're in. And I think a really good example for most people is like who you are in front of your parents versus who you are in front of your friends. I think in most cases it's at least slightly different, if not more significantly different. But to really ask yourself which one's the true me, I think it's very hard to decipher, to answer that question. Like, there's no, like, they're both you. As Sachi says, they're both me, in other words. Again, just Sachi sparks that kind of discourse in my head. Even if I'm not really so charming, I'm proud that I can pretend to be for you, Megumi. But you're not pretending, Sachi. Like, how can you pretend that? Like, anyways, I've said enough on that. I think you guys probably don't want to hear me ramble about it anymore. With the lunchbox emptied, I put my hands together in thanks. Then, after finishing her conversation with us, Yuri-san excused herself, telling us to enjoy our time together. We fell silent for a while after she left. It felt almost awkward with our first time finally coming into view, but more than that, I'm a bit worried about Yuri-san. Yeah. It seems that when we were close to Yuri-san, we both perceived the same thing from her. Her worries and doubts towards Hina-chan, but also the strong will to find an answer amid them. Her situation isn't easy to accept, and her answer isn't an easy one to reach. But Yuri-san is trying to move forward even as she struggles. I think Yuno will be okay. Yes, I think so too. I don't think the conclusion Yuri-san reaches will be the cleanest or the least painful, but I think it'll be the conclusion she'll regret the least. That's why she'll be okay. That's why no matter what decision Yuri-san makes, all I can do is accept it. On a whim, I craned my neck up toward the memorial tree. Enoki trees are planted at milestones where travelers will take a brief rest and set off again. Everyone has to continue their journey at some point. That's interesting. I never knew that about the Enoki tree. That sort of adds another layer of depth to this very specific Enoki tree, doesn't it? In my case, it may simply have been a very long one. This rest of mine really has been too long. But things are starting to change for me now. I feel as if I'll be setting off again soon. Yes, I'll have to go. Together with you, Megumi. I looked to Megumi at my side. She turned to me at the same time, and our eyes naturally met. Megumi gave me a bashful smile. I'm sure I was making the same sort of face. Since our first time. Oh, I wonder what will happen. Really, my face is feeling hot just thinking about it. We are getting close to the end here. Next time, we'll do Aki scenes, and I am stoked for more Aki. Aki was a character we got so little of. I cannot wait. And this here, I want to see more of her and Sena together. So next time, we will do that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Take care.